Well, hello everybody, welcome back into the kitchen. As you can probably tell from the furnace blasting in the background, it is a chilly day outside, which means today in the kitchen, comfort food. That is right. Today's comfort food is something that used to be made by one of my good friends back in the high school days, so like 10 million or so years ago. But she used to make these things called fluffy eggs for when we were taking a break from our various card games. These are fairly straightforward, and I seem to have an excessive amount of eggs in my life these days, so I thought I would share them with you guys, and you can try them at home for yourself. They are pretty easy and pretty darn tasty, assuming you like eggs. So, yes, assuming you like eggs, let's carry on. You probably won't be at all surprised to figure out that this recipe requires eggs. We will also be using some Wonder Bread white Texas toast here, nice thick stuff. On that note, I found this really only seems to work best with white bread, fresh eggs, and aged cheddar. I have messed around, tried a few different things, you know, like I do, and nothing else seems to work. So if you try this at home with like a wheat bread or whatever, let me know how that works out for you. Anyway, in a minute we're going to separate our eggs. We've got to grate up all our cheese. We've got to start by toasting up our bread. And there goes the fridge. I just can't win with background sound. Anyway, carrying on. Step 1, turn your bread into toast. Step 2, shred your cheese. I recommend the finest grate you can get access to. Normally, it's not my opinion. For this, fine grate your cheese. Step 3, if your house is anything like mine, hide the shredded cheese. So, next step, step 4 I guess, after hiding our cheese, is we've got to separate our eggs. I understand this is difficult for a lot of people, so I thought I would show you how I go about it. Cracking Bunty's eggs are, she makes tough eggs. But, gently crack your 2 halves. Wow. Alright, so Bunty's eggs are some of the thickest shells I've ever encountered in my life, and she's kind of forcing me to try new tricks to break her eggs so that I can do old tricks to separate my eggs. But anyway, if you can gently get this sucker broken in half, the whites are going to fall out around it, and then you very gently just pass the yolk from one shell to another, pouring out as much of the white as you can, but you really want to be careful not to break that yolk, because the goal is to have a perfect, intact, runny yolk at the end of this whole adventure. So, what are we on? Step 29 here? I think we're actually at step 4 if you don't count actually hiding the cheese, but we're going to call this step 5. We need to make our egg whites nice and fluffy. This is ridiculously simple. For those of you who have never done it, grab yourself a hand mixer. Forgive the sound, it is the way it is. Start whipping it up nice and slow until eventually it forms a foam. I'll show you that in a minute. So it's been about a minute of vigorous mixing, beating if you will, and we've got some fairly rigid peaks that form in our foam when we turn the beaters upright. Hopefully you can see that fairly well. I got kind of a wiggly beater going on there. But it's all good, so we'll try it again. And it softened a little bit when I stopped it, so I'm going to give it a quick beat. But basically, stiff peaks. It's pretty straightforward. So now that our foam keeps a nice stiff peak, this is ready to go, and we are almost done. So now we just take our nice fluffy eggs. Oh, hang on. You know what? I forgot one of the most important parts of this. Almost forgot. We've got to put a layer of our finely sliced cheese in here, finely shredded. Because it does go between the toast and the eggs, this is part of why I recommend a very fine shred. So that is good. You can never really have too much cheese in your life. So now that we've got our cheese on there, we're going to take some of our fine, fluffed up, foamy eggs. We're going to start splitting them between our 2 pieces of toast here. As a general rule of thumb, or eggs as the case may be, I tend to use 1 egg per piece of toast plus 1 extra for the bowl. So in this case, I'm making 2 pieces of toast. I used 3 eggs. That does leave you with an extra egg yolk, but I have a dog who will happily dispose of that for me. Looking off to the side, pretending he's not begging, but he can wait. Anyway, once we build up our mountain here, need to kind of carve out a little dip in the middle of it. Imagine making a volcano out of your fluffy egg whites. Form it to look however fancy you want it. I don't care all that much. I just need it to hold the egg yolk when we're done, but it's not going in there just yet. So before we throw these into the oven, I'm just going to throw the last of my egg whites onto here. Try and use it up. You can kind of mold it a little bit like clay, but don't get too creative because it will fall on you. But anyway, before we put our yolks in there, we're going to want to give this a quick bake. Get it to a nice light sort of a golden color on our whites. So into the toaster oven at 350, 12 to 15 minutes. It's a personal opinion. After you make them the first time, you'll see what I'm talking about. And then this is a perfect toaster oven, tasty. 2 pieces, no need to fire up the whole oven for that. 350. I'm going to set this for 12 and a half minutes because I know our toaster oven. So here we have these back out of the oven after approximately 12 minutes. And we're going to try and take our egg yolks and just very gently, I'll change my angle here. We're going to try and very gently deposit them into our well in the center there. And one more time. Very gently. I should have made these wells a little bit deeper. Come on, drop her, Daddy. Alright. Now we're going to take a little bit of our remaining cheese, if we still have any, family depending, and we're going to just carefully put a little bit of that on top because we don't want to break the yolk at this point. And then she goes back into the toaster oven for 3 to 5 minutes. That really all depends on A, your toaster oven, and B, your preference for runny yolks. But let's get this back in there. And around here we're going to close this up for I think probably 3 minutes. Oh yeah. What's really important for me is to make sure that cheese is melted on top. Okay, so I let it go for an extra half a minute or so. I just wasn't quite content with the cheese yet. This is what they're looking like coming out of the toaster oven. Let's put these puppies onto a plate. Now, if I have done this according to the quality that I was taught as a teenager, when I cut into this puppy, that yolk is going to just be a mess everywhere. Let's see if I'm doing... Oh, I did it justice. That is ooey gooey goodness right there. Oh, my word. Could have even done with maybe another 30 seconds, but I like really runny yolks. Alright, well, these are not pretty to eat as a bearded man, so I'm going to ask you to just forgive the aftermath, but you know what? So good. So good. One sec. A little fire salt on here, a little black pepper on here. These things are absolutely amazing. It's a fairly, I want to say it's a quick snack. It does take 45 minutes to an hour to actually put all of this together, but it's very little effort that's actually involved in this. Most of that time is waiting. Give it a try. Let me know how it works out for you. As I said in the beginning of the video, it hasn't worked for me with other cheeses or other breads, but if you decide to give it a go with variations, please let me know how that works in the comments below. Thank you guys for joining me today as we deal with yet another egg opportunity, thanks to them hens. And yeah, try the fluffy eggs. I want to eat these while they're still warm. See you later, everybody.